Hello, everybody. This is the Big Kahuna,
And Eliza Austin.
and you're listening to Volume 4 of the Outer Haven Report, DC Edition. Okay, everybody, well, we welcome you back to, man, I can't believe it's already the fourth installment of doing this vlog of ours here. Time really does fly by, and that means a month of us vlogging now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do this once a week.
Wow, really? It seems more frequently than that.
Yeah, well, we might be doing some more, but right now, this is our fourth installment in 4 weeks, and to mark that special occasion, and also with the little-known movie called The Justice League coming out, we want to do something a little bit special, especially considering that in my great nerd oversight, I realized that Eliza, who loves Suicide Squad, never actually got to see Man of Steel or Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice.
Ooh, I really love Suicide Squad. That's on my top 10 favorite all-time movies. I love that movie and Jared Leto. And that movie and Jared Leto.
Okay, well, Jared Leto definitely did a great job in that film. I'll give him that. More I watch it, the more he kind of grows on me, I had to admit.
Yes.
Now, what we did today was 3 movies and over the course of the afternoon, and we always do things a little bit out of order because, well, that's kind of what we do. We watch the movie we want to watch, and today we actually started out with Batman vs. Superman, and then we watched Suicide Squad, and then I was able to find us a copy of Man of Steel to watch, which one of my all-time favorite movies. And we're here now to bring you our thoughts on these 3 absolutely amazing films that DC actually got right.
Before we even get into it, it sounded like you already were biased and shared your thoughts. These 3 absolutely amazing films. That pretty much summed it up, folks. That's all we have for you today. Have a good day.
Yep, that's it. Movie's over.
Carry on.
Go home and
Eat some pie.
you've done your duty, so go home and sleep well, Justin Scar would say.
Eat some pie and decorate for Crippy time. Carry on.
Now, folks, I'm even going to throw in one more film, actually. 4 films, though we didn't watch it today, but it does tie into what we're doing today. We're going to bring in Wonder Woman into this as well.
Ooh.
Just because,
Thanks to our friend Danny.
Yes, big kudos to Danny Canode for bringing that film to our attention. And I tell you what, I'm not sure what changed at DC since Superman Returns with Brendan Roth. But somebody did something right.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good.
And I do love Legends of Tomorrow. Brandon is a great, as the Atom on there, small screen. But the new Superman, Henry Cavill, I mean, he's absolutely stunning in the role. Now,
ladies, right? Yeah. Not too hard to look at, all those bulgy muscles.
so since
Bonus.
Christie is in agreement with the captain from the end of the film, where he's a looker, I guess. Now, I will warn you guys right now, this review, unlike some of our other ones, will be heavy on the spoilers. And I'm doing that because at this point, if you're interested in DC movies, I think we've given you enough time to watch them. If you have not watched them, then all I'm going to tell you is reasons why you should go watch them. Own all of them. Do a splurge. This is one of the few series that I'm actually okay with sitting around the entire day watching. and have no regrets.
Yeah, good way to spend your day off. I'm okay with it.
Really good stuff.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so we're going to start with Man of Steel. Now, for those of you who are still living underneath that giant rock somewhere, probably out in Wyoming, because there's a lot of places out there that have giant rocks that would,
Okay.
fit a dwelling.
All right. But just really carry on.
Well, there's a few people out there who might not have seen this film yet on purpose.
That was me till today, so let's just not knock on people. People are busy. Let's just do the review without the negativity and the dogging on people.
You're right. I shouldn't dog on people.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really crude.
No, it's rude. And I think at one point, for a brief period, you hailed from Wyoming. So.
Well, that's why I should know that there's not a whole lot going on out there and a lot of rocks.
All right.
Anyway, if you guys have not seen Man of Steel for whatever reason, no judgment here. It is a new Superman origin film, which, unlike the previous Superman movies, they really sped up the timeline. And it's kind of like taking the Christopher Reeve Superman 1 and Superman 2 and putting it into one film. And it had my favorite villain of Superman, Zod. Mm-hmm. Absolutely love General Zod. I remember way back in the day, when Superman 2 was out. I don't think I ever saw it in the theater. I can't remember what year it came out in. But the original General Zod, you had this little paisley guy on there, but you can tell by looking at him, the presence this guy held in his kung fu black clothing, looked like something out of the Karate Kid, and his black slick back hair, which was definitely receding. Probably didn't hurt that he had a really epic drum line as his theme song. He just was so amazing the way he just captured on his, and the special effects they gave him for today. The guy could kick some major arts. It's like he'd beat up by a nerd. And another actress in there who I really enjoyed talking to, actually met her several years ago at a convention, which was Zod's lieutenant, was Sarah Douglas. And she had some pretty good stories that Joshua the Samurai could even chime in on when we met her back at Columbus Comic-Con back in the early 2000s. The whole thing was all about attitude. And back then, you didn't have the CG to really work with. A lot of it was just stage presence. And I think a lot of movies have forgotten that in this day and age. But Man of Steel really brought that back. The CG really was over the top with this film. A lot of it was to show off, Henry Cavill, which the guy, I don't think they could really cast him any better. He had just that farm boy charm and the muscle structure that really made you believe that he could be Superman. But he also had the ability to really play the human part of the character too, which Brandon Routh just really couldn't pull off. He's so much of a wussy. Anybody who's ever seen Superman Returns is like, is this Superman's younger brother or something? But we're not going to go into that long thing today. Man of Steel it was very, very dark, especially for a Superman film. That was one of the complaints a lot of people had. And I want to know, what do you think today, Les? Because this is the first time you've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, knowing the other Superman movies as well as you have, you would say that it was too dark for a Superman film, or do you think it was well balanced?
I think it was pretty well balanced. You had family, you had a villain, you had a love interest, there was the manly fighting, there was some space travel, there was corn. It was a pretty good mix, I thought. I was captivated for most of it. some of the fighting I got a little bored, but
Yeah, well, that fine. It's more of a guy thing. I will give it that.
I for the most part it kept my attention. So we watch a lot of movies, and sometimes I don't see anything but a few snippets because I play on my iPad. But I actually watched this, so.
And that says a lot for this film by itself, because we're in a digital age right now. How many people are watching a movie while you're checking your email and feeding the dog, and making dinner? For a movie to really catch your attention and really draw you in is a testament to itself.
Yeah.
And, this movie, I loved how they tied everything together so neatly, especially changing the timeline with Lois and Clark, to where rather than she find out who he is later, Clark, who Clark really is later, and having all that, him trying to hide who he is from her, the bumbling, the bumbling nerd from Kansas, she knew right from the beginning and actually met him as this amazing metahuman, at least she thought. They didn't know he's actually extraterrestrial till later. And it really, I think, made the story even better for them.
Yeah.
Especially for accelerating like that. And talking about the acceleration, we're going to go right into the next film in this series, which is Dawn of Justice. Batman versus Superman. Henry Cavill versus Batfleck.
I did not want to see this movie. I was opposed to today's lineup. I voted for Hallmark, ladies. I got voted down again. But I have to say that I actually enjoyed it. I kind of liked...
I'm sorry, what was that?
Hush.
Did you actually say you actually enjoyed Batman vs. Superman, which I've been trying to get you to watch for over a year?
Maybe.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me mark for the record that she just stated she enjoyed Batman vs. Superman.
I don't really feel like that was necessary.
Oh, but it was.
Anyway, I think it was well done. I liked it. I liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I was surprised because he's had some bad. It's bad.
Yeah, anybody who's ever seen him in Dogma.
This role worked for him. It made him, it worked. So.
And you're saying that his role worked for him. Now, before you saw this, who was your favorite Batman?
I'm a Val Kilmer Batman girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And myself personally, I loved the Christopher Nolan Batman. And before that, I was always a Michael Keaton. I was kind of like a purist. Well,
I like Michael Keaton, but I can't not see
for
him.
the movie version of Batman.
I can't see him as anything other than Mr. Mom, wearing an apron, sweeping the living room.
That's
I just
true.
can't. He's not Batman, and Ben Affleck, it worked. He has had just a mess, and this was him. He is a mess. Sorry, Ben Affleck. And he kind of, came back, and there's the darkness, and I think as it portrays he is, maybe. It seems like he cares, but he's dark, and it just worked.
Well, here's a fan theory for you. Ben Affleck really is a dark-hearted superhero in Hollywood. And they just filmed him around his house and just put him in a Batman costume to do the fight scenes.
I've heard a thing or two about Ben Affleck, that he does a lot of charity stuff. So maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know.
Yeah, that is, very possible. Any person can hang out with Silent Bob, which, one of my favorite writers and Hollywood creators, I have to admit, has to be a pretty decent guy.
I don't know. He dated J-Lo.
Who hasn't?
That's true. Anyway, okay, let's move on.
So, with Batman versus Superman, I mean, oh man. The movie, for me personally, was a childhood dream come true. Like, anybody who read comic books back in the day remembers Superman Doomsday. And as much as we want to see Batman and Superman fighting it out, seeing Superman go versus Doomsday in a live action film was worth the price of admission just by itself.
Yeah, but it was sad.
Now we had to do a qualifier on this because I know what people are out there is like, oh, there's no way in heck Batman could ever beat Superman, blah blah blah, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of credit here. In a straight out fight, Batfleck would have been a smear on Superman's boot.
But Batman didn't beat Superman, really. That's not what happened.
Well, technically, because they did fight, he did win.
No.
The
That's
fight.
Not what happened.
He did not
I don't
kill
agree. No.
Superman.
No.
But he could have. The only reason he did not kill him was because he happened to have a mother with the same name.
Yeah, he could have killed him.
And it distracted him.
Because it weakened him and he found his heart. I mean, come on. Like, no. He did not kill...
I'm not saying that the movie did not set everything up into a way that gave Batman a clear present advantage.
The monster killed him. End of story.
Yeah, Doomsday, just like in the comic book, stabbed...
We forgot to say spoiler alert.
Oh, no, the spoiler alert came in the beginning. This is all full.
Right.
We got spoiler landmines all across this vlog here today, so... if you don't want to have all this spoiled, then I suggest you go listen to Adam the Woo or something. Now,
I'm sorry, I yawned.
Oh, it's okay.
It's my day off. I have to recover from work, so I'm tired. Sorry.
Yes, poor Eliza works in a call center. And not just a call center, a Medicare call center.
And it's annual enrollment season.
Oh, yeah. So anybody who knows anything about call centers and knows anything about Medicare, put those two together, and you have this poor woman's last couple of weeks. Now, back to the fight, though. Now, if Batman went against Superman, in a normal circumstance, Batman would have the floor wiped with him. Now, the only way that Batman would have a true chance, like he did in this film, is a lot of preparation time and able to choose the venue. Because Batman was able to get his hands on kryptonite, he was able to form gas-based weapons, as well as the very important to the storyline prop, the kryptonite spear, which was a huge point of discussion before the film ever came out. And a lot of people did kind of figure what happened with that prop, including myself, just from some of the set photos that were leaked early on. Now, that is the only reason Batman would have won. But the thing is, though, Lex Luthor, I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says about this Lex. I did not like him. Lex Luthor is not a bumbling idiot. I don't care if it's the son of Lex or whatever's going on. Did not like the character. The only reason I liked the character was for the role that he played, which, quite honestly, could have been done by any number of other people in the DC universe to make this showdown happen. And also, I can't see...
It was fitting, though, it was Lex Luthor, because he's always up to no good. Whatever that... That guy's name wasn't Lex, though, was it?
Well, it was Lex.
It was still?
Alexander Luthor, it's how they put it, which, Lex is short for Alexander. But it was the son of Lex. And they had his head shaved at the end of the movie when he went to prison, to make him look a little bit more like the iconic Lex. But the iconic Lex had no hair, wasn't shaved off. He was completely bald as a newborn baby. That just rubbed me the wrong way. But he
rubbed me the wrong way the whole time.
I don't know why they could not just had another villain. Why not have the Joker, who has the brains, has the hatred for Batman, especially. I can very easily see him do the same things that they had Lex do in this film and create the fight. Now, the Joker might not have wanted to make Doomsday, but you could have had Doomsday come in any number of other ways. Just had the government, it's always messing with something in these films.
It was a good time.
Make Zod into Doomsday themselves by, going through the codex and everything else. They, on the wrecked Kryptonian ships. I mean, there's so many other ways.
I think it was pretty good with Lex. I liked it. I hate him. I needed to hate someone in this, so that was him. And I'm okay with it. I liked how it rolled. I think it was good all around. Shh. Don't tell my husband.
Yes, we will
He's
not.
He's probably never going to let it go. He said he wouldn't say anything, but I know.
Well, he watched Frozen. He knows how that protocol works. And we promise we're not going to bust his songs. Now, the movie overall, I would say it's definitely one of my favorites. And that's like one of my favorite movies is in general. And I love the Marvel Universe. And I love the fights in the Marvel Universe. But I was very disappointed with a couple of the Marvel movies recently. Especially Age of Ultron, which so much potential just flushed down the potential toilet. But Batman vs. Superman, a lot of people either hate it or they love it. I mean, there's not really any in between with it. And there was a few scenes I would have changed with it. And honestly, I would have made the movie longer. I think you could have had a lot more build up. Some of the scenes that were cut out really made a difference in the storyline, which I know Eliza hasn't seen, but there was actually talk and communication, with Clark looking into Bruce Wayne's past and seeing about the death of his parents and the names of his parents. That's one reason why Clark, when he was underneath the spear, about ready to have himself impaled, ironically, called out that you're going to let Martha die. Clark was using psychological warfare. And you know what? It worked. Though I'm not 100% sure what the flashback was all about, though. Well, Christian, the flash forward, I should say. Where the Flash, ironically, comes back in some type of very clear battle armor, telling Bruce, about, getting everybody together and how Superman's the key. And the scene where Superman, after roasting two of Batman's allies, blamed him for Lois's death. I don't know how that could have changed, especially considering the way the fight went. That, for one, Batman survives the fight. Two, how would Lois die at Batman's hand through all that? And three, how the freak did anything happen to where Lois is killed, Doomsday is somehow released, but doesn't kill everything before Apocalypse and the whole Justice League plot can happen? For Cyborg being recreated, we all saw the box. That's dark side type technology, which I might be getting my names mixed up with some of the characters on this for Justice League, but the point is, things were already set in motion. So I'm not sure how, Bruce and, Superman becoming friends and Lois living all that could really change things, one way or another. So that I'm hoping maybe Justice League will solve for us eventually here. Now, the next movie, though, so let me keep things flowing, which I know Eliza's going to love talking about, is one that they really did a lot of good promo work on in Dawn of Justice, Wonder Woman.
Oh, yeah, I like that a lot.
Now, Wonder Woman was a film I will admit I had a lot of doubts about. I've always been a fan of the character, but I didn't know how they could really make a compelling story in this day and age without making it just some type of you know, I would like fan candy of sorts. Like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna make this story based on Wonder Woman. We're gonna stretch it out a lot because no one's really gonna want to see her true origins or anything. We're just gonna put her in a skimpy outfit and make the guys happy. And oh, look, hey, woman has power. Make the all the women happy. You know, I was worried they were just gonna make it cheap and not really pay proper homage to the character and really go through the necessary steps to make an amazing storyline. But my God, they did. And having Captain Kirk in that, Christopher Pine as a pilot, I thought was ingenious, and just a great way of really pushing that story forward. So I got to ask you though,
Yeah.
Eliza, you know.
I'm sorry, I got mesmerized. The dog is snoring so loudly.
Yeah, if you
that
guys can hear the dog again in the background, she's not like choking on things. Now she's just snoring on the edge of an ottoman, which she kind of blended into. I think the ottoman and the dog became one.
The ottoman is snoring, and I got caught up in the snoring, and I saw something posted on Facebook, and I apologize. I'm sorry. I admit it.
No, it's okay. This is a very, very nerd-heavy, episode today, so I understand. But Wonder Woman, though, okay, from a woman's point of view, okay. I want to know, what did you think made the movie so great?
I was empowered by how empowered she was. She was a strong female presence. She got out there and kicked butt. I think that was awesome. She wasn't afraid to stand, and let the man lead. She did it. She even was in the Batman versus Superman one. Mm-hmm. She got out there and she was not afraid to fight the creature. I was impressed. I think they made a good choice. She did a good job.
And I really love too how they had her character in Batman versus Superman. Mm-hmm. Saying that she spent 100 years hidden from the world, which basically what that would mean, from the end of Wonder Woman, where she loses, who became the love of her life, though they were only there for a short time. Yeah,
but think about this. In that time period, I mean, that was enough time, that short period of time, they'd have gotten married, and that'd have been that. I mean, that's how it was back then. So
well, it's kind of like in reference to Terminator 1 and 2, Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor, the statement that John made that about his parents, like they said, they only had one night together, but that's all it took. Mm-hmm. And that's all it took for them to have John. But
am I allowed to share a little personal story about Christopher Reeves, since we're talking about
yes,
Batman and Superman?
Definitely, yeah, especially with this kind of stuff. Yeah, please go ahead.
In the early 2000s, I can't remember exactly what year, but Christopher Reeves visited Kent State University, and my mom and I got to hear him. It was after his accident. Got to hear him talk, and we were right up front. I can't remember I think we got to meet him too. I can't remember. It's been a long time. I'm sure I have autographs. It was him and his wife, and he had an entourage. And he talked about overcoming obstacles. And he was just phenomenal. It was kind of like, in my opinion, being in the presence of like a god. He was just, he had this booming voice, and he was it was definitely mesmerizing. It was an experience. He was very awesome. It's something I'll always remember. I'm sure somewhere in our home I have, the papers, because it was a really cool event. But it was definitely something, that you never forget.
Yeah, that might be something I had to look for in the attic, actually.
Oh, who knows?
And I gotta admit, not being able to meet Christopher Reeves is one of the great sadnesses of my life. I always wanted to meet Sarah Douglas from Superman 2, and I was always wanted to meet Christopher Reeves. I personally never had the chance, but he is truly one of the greatest actors of all time, and he did more than Superman 2. Like Village of the Damned was another one of his great movies that he did that a lot of people overlook. The man was an amazing actor, and after he quit acting, he was an amazing human being. Going around after his accident, you know, just like Superman, he never gave up.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. The other day, we happened to see in our, I don't know, we found it on the TV, The Village of the Damned. I'd never seen it, and Tom talked about it, so we watched it, and I was impressed. Again, he was amazing. He just had a presence. There was just, I don't know. If you're not familiar with his work or you haven't seen that movie, you should take the time to watch it.
We highly recommend that film. And
it's very creepy. I mean, even for as old as it is, it definitely, it had an impact. It creeped me out.
And no, honestly, we're talking about all these new DC movies and, Batman vs. Superman and all these new Superman films. But none of this would ever have been possible if it wasn't for that amazing casting of Christopher Reeves.
Well, and all these new Supermans, they're modeled after him.
Yeah.
They look like him.
They all have the
it's the iconic
Superman
look.
curl, and
yep.
And honestly, that's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just few people out there who can really have that kind of presence. Like, I think Mark Hamill is another one of those amazing actors that really gets overlooked in the everyday, but it's such an amazing person. Like Mark Hamill, which also ties into the Batman series specifically, voice of the Joker for the animated series. Which, honestly, I wish that he could look the part, because I would love to see him as the Joker. Like, in any animated film, he is absolutely perfect because it is drawn in.
I don't think he's disturbed enough.
Oh, you haven't seen The Killing Joke.
Well, there's a certain look. I don't know.
Now, in person, no, he cannot do it. But the voice,
Well, the voice is okay, but think about it. We had, what was it?
You talking about from the latest Joker? Or you talking about, Heath Ledger from the Dark Knight trilogy?
Yeah, I mean, look at, we had what happened? Did the Penguin become the Joker? How come the Penguin, what happened to him?
Penguin has always been kind of a sub-character. Now, in the original Batman movie series, which I say the original series, I don't count Adam West's movie.
Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer and
oh god, yeah.
Penguin.
Batman Returns. Danny DeVito.
Yep.
Played probably, in my opinion, the most disturbing villain ever in a film. I mean,
yeah, we gotta talk about.
was disgusting in that film.
Yep, we talk about Batman and Superman, but their sidekicks, and these villains, they make it. If we didn't have them, we wouldn't have a movie.
Yes, and there's so many times that they're overlooked, and that's even one thing with Dawn of Justice. A lot of people did not take into consideration was Batman in this movie. He was an older Batman. Mm-hmm. As he stated, he was older in that movie than his father ever would have been.
Yep.
And we also have reference that the Joker killed Robin.
Yeah.
Now, it could be that the Joker tried to kill Robin and then Robin survived, like in Red Hood. Though we don't have any guarantees on that. But that would also have sent Batman over the edge. But it made him so dark and brooding and absolutely perfect to me. We didn't have depressed Batman like we did with Christopher Nolan. We didn't have, aging Batman to where his joints weren't working and stuff, which, I'd love the Dark Knight series. I know why they did that for, but it always seemed like, okay, Batman's not that weak.
No. Batman.
The man runs off rage and darkness. Okay, I'm sure he can get some conjoined, but
glucosamine conjoined.
There's any number of things he could have done, and Batfleck really pulls this off. And to tie back into Wonder Woman, a lot of the series has Batman and Wonder Woman together, which I think makes a really good combination. Just for the fact that they can understand each other. Both of them really have... Why did you just throw food at the dog while she's sleeping? Ladies and gentlemen, I wish this was a video blog where you guys actually can see what's going on. The dog is sleeping on the ottoman, and now there's a big old chunk of peach cobbler resting just about a foot above her head. And she moves her own way, that's going to go right into her mouth. So maybe she yawns or something, she's going to get a special treat. But let's get back to here, because honestly, guys, I talk about this stuff all day. Now, Wonder Woman, I'm going to go back into that film here and finish up that particular one.
Interrupted.
Oh no, that's the thing with this series though. You can't talk about one without talking about the others.
Yeah.
It's so intertwined, and I can probably do multiple videos on this, and eventually we might do more to talk about the expanded universe of this. If you guys are interested in that, leave a comment and let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys. Now,
yeah, come on, people, start interacting, start commenting.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your guys' opinion. You know, Outer Haven Media is about bringing nerds together. We are a safe haven for all nerd kind, and anybody who loves media. I don't care if you like somebody who loves comic books, or if you're like completely obsessed and have an entire collection of every DC or Marvel comic book character and comic and movie and game. You're all welcome here, and we welcome your comments all the same. Now, for Wonder Woman, it was set, in the same way Batman's mindset is. The world is screwed up as heck, and why the heck are we even bothering?
Yeah.
I think we all have had some point in our lives, even just driving through traffic some days, we're having that thought, like, why the heck do we even bother?
Yep.
And I think the fact that they both had that, but I think they can also bring the light out to each other as well. And I think that was actually heavily hinted in the end of Batman vs. Superman. And I'm curious to see how they're going to do that with Justice League, which at some point we will be doing a review on. I'm not going to do it right away because I want to let everything else kind of soak in here first. Alright, so now that we covered that particular film, let's go ahead and go into the last film that we watched. And it's also the dog just woke up and she found her food. Yay! So, the last one we reviewed, and it's actually, I think, the first one Eliza actually watched with me, ironically. And we have watched both the original and the extended cut, which is so much better, Suicide Squad. Oh my lord, the things I can say and going to say about Suicide Squad. Now, I think I'm going to let you lead this one off, because you have absolutely adored this film, and you thought you were going to hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that very clearly.
First of all, I loved Heath Ledger. I just loved Heath Ledger, and I thought no one could replace him. And Jared Leto didn't replace him, but he more enhanced it. And I just love how he portrayed Joker.
Yes.
I love him, and I love Harley Quinn in this. I love the Crocodile dude and the Diablo dude and the Deadshot, and I love them all. I just love. Isn't that what his name is?
The Deadshot.
What's his name?
It's simply Deadshot, but I do like the Deadshot. That's,
anyway.
That's pretty cool, actually.
I thought they did a really good job. I love the music they put behind it. I think that was marvelous. I love everything about it. I've insisted we own it. I haven't been complied with yet, but...
Well, I'm working on that. I got a lot of films to buy.
I watch it every time it's on, and I see it, and I watch it.
Thanks to DirecTV, we do have, most of the films now, which I got to do some shopping this Christmas. Yeah. I've already made that determination a while back.
But I like how, they were still, they're villains and they're criminals, but they have heart. Like they were forced to band together, but then they got along and they had this little messy friendship going, and there's some romances in there, and I love the whole Harley Quinn and Joker. I love that
They sold the show when Deadshot wasn't doing so.
I love that. Yeah, but then there's also, Lyndon, when it was
Not Lyndon,
Holder and his evil witch doctor.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We knew them from another show.
Well,
That's a different discussion.
Yeah, Holder, which was the officer keeping everybody in line. Yeah. We know him as Officer Holder, Detective Holder from The Killing, which we will be reviewing that show in the coming weeks.
Yeah, because we're going to be watching it again.
Yeah, The Killing and The X-Files are coming up here in the next couple of weeks.
And so we're going to watch again. We have to watch Person of Interest again because...
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to also watch our other favorite...
Before we go into Suicide Squad a little bit more here, we are going to do... Outer Haven Media, when I got the idea for making Outer Haven Media many, many, many moons ago, it was based on my personal love and need for amazing storytelling that a lot of people, back then did not really appreciate. I grew up literally watching Star Trek, Next Generation, watch that Zone 6, and watch that, to an absolute completion, every Star Trek's ever Discovery since then. Mm-hmm. I grew up with Metal Gear Solid, game-wise. I grew up playing Final Fantasy VII. I grew up playing, all these games that were, by most considered, why would you play something like that? Why would you play Siphon Filter? Or, why are you interested in Bioshock for? And then these shows, which, Babylon 5, Fringe, X-Files, Haven, Person of Interest, all these are near and dear to my heart. Yep. And one reason I fell in love with Eliza was she also shared this deep love for these shows, especially Supernatural is one that I came to love through her. Angel, Buffy. A lot of people look at these shows and are like, oh, that's just, some crazy teen show. To some people, that's, the reason we get through the day sometimes.
I got laid off once, and if Supernatural hadn't been there, I'd have probably lost my mind.
It's absolutely, never doubt the power of a good movie. That's one reason I made Outer Haven, because I wanted a place for people who have that deep love for characters that don't exist in reality, but my God, they exist in your heart. And when a character dies in this show, you cry for a freaking month. There's some characters in Haven, I still cry thinking about it. Duke, we mentioned him a few times.
Duke!
And Person of Interest, that's it.
Glasses!
Yeah, glasses and, also so many different terms in there for people. They loved the nut job names for everybody. And, these are the shows that make life worth living in so many ways.
Well... Because you take a little wisdom and a little piece of that with you, and it makes your life a little better. And so maybe your work, hustle isn't so desirable. So you take that little bit of wisdom, and that gets you through the day. Today I'm gonna have a Holder day, and I'm gonna push on through my demons and my darkness, and then I know that when I'm done, I'm going to come home and I can spend an hour with Holden and Lyndon and Haven and... Absolutely. Cause, in my nerd haven.
One thing me and Eliza personally hold to is a anime series, Blood Plus. Yep. And there is a old Okinawan saying in there, Nikuru Naisa. And Nikuru Naisa basically just means everything's going to be alright. Yep. But in the context of that show, that simple statement... literally became my life's motto, and became our family motto. It is. Yep. And that's kind of stuff that really, I think everybody needs in their lives. And if someone's mocking you for having that, they can go jump off a short bridge. You don't need people telling you what your dreams are or what's important to you. You decide that, and you hold on to that. Mm-hmm. I agree. And Suicide Squad, I think, actually... really helps drive that sort of thing home, because Suicide Squad, for those of you who might not be completely familiar with it, a lot of people avoid this film because they thought, this is all the villains, No one watch a movie about a whole bunch of villains, and this ain't a Heath Ledger Joker, so I'm not going to watch that. I will admit, Jared Leto's Joker gave me pause before I watched it, but anytime any movie comes out, I always try to give it a fair shake before I really burn the dog.
Excuse you. Stop. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I always try to give a movie, a fair chance, including any character acting. And despite what everybody says about Jared Leto's Joker, I think, honestly, he was probably the best Joker I have seen for the crazy Joker out there. Now, there was the crazy Joker, there was an archaic Joker, which is the Heath Ledger. He wanted to see everything burn. The Dark Knight series Joker was just a dark, brooding, evil, crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
The Jared Leto Joker was crazy but driven.
And he had love, so he was more open to... He was driven by his love for Harley Quinn.
Which they did change from the comic, which I agree with them changing that dynamic to where the Joker actually did care about her rather than having the Stockholm Syndrome and the massive amounts of abuse that we actually have in a comic book series. I think it was a great call, and I think it made the characters even better.
Mm-hmm.
And the Harley Quinn they had, I almost hate to say this, I liked her better than I did the animated series. Which Harley Quinn was introduced in Batman the Animated Series back in, I believe, the 90s. I know Andy Cano can tell me this because he's doing a full full review of the series. She was recently added, but I think that she really helps make Joker's character more dynamic, all the better, and really balances him out.
Mm-hmm.
And really just on this movie, I mean, the dialogue, like, shooting at Batman because he's interrupting date night.
Yep.
While Joker is driving, I think it was a Lamborghini, flying through the streets of Gotham. You couldn't have that otherwise.
Yep.
And Deadshot, which was played by Will Smith, I think was probably one of Will's best movies. And
he's fabulous. I love him. Anything I've seen him in, he's really been amazing.
Yeah, well, there's a few movies which I'm not going to go into on here. I might put a movie inserts into this right now that Will Smith owed me big time for.
Yeah, that 7 pound one.
That's definitely one on the list.
I'm still sad. I don't want to talk about that one.
There's a couple movies, yeah, but Will Smith really showed his acting chops with this, and he even had some other actors in this film which I had never heard of before the film, but absolutely love that. The guy who played Diablo, holy crap, probably one of my all-time favorite characters for a villain. I mean, he was absolutely stunning, and Killer Croc was just...
He was good. I liked
him. He was perfect to me. The only thing I didn't like with Killer Croc is that he seemed a little small. I know a lot of it's because of prosthetics they're using. His head looked way too big for his body when he actually took off all the gear, off the shirts and everything. And that was a little... It's not so much, I understand they had to do it for the character, and they made him look amazing. But he didn't quite... It kind of threw me out of the movie universe when they did that. Just for a few seconds. Then he was talking about the lines, this is like my turf, you're all visitors,
And they kept calling him ugly and...
I'm not ugly. I'm beautiful.
I'm beautiful.
I mean, it was perfect. Oh, Harley Quinn definitely helped tie everything together with her psychotic sexual innuendos and behavior. And the accent was spot on, I thought, for her. And, the way her and Joker, their scenes together, I thought were really well done, especially in the extended. The only problem I had with the movie that it was too short. I feel like they could have done a lot more character development, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with the sequel, which is going to star The Rock as Black Adam, which I don't know when that's going to be coming out exactly, but I'm really looking forward to see what they're going to do with that. Because once again, you're finding somebody with magical capabilities, which, if I were the Suicide Squad, I'd be asking for some better villains. Like, can we just take down some standard everyday terrorists? I don't know, maybe send us after the Terminator or something. Quit sending us after these crazy freaking magicians. But that's just me. But, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to cover everything for tonight with our DC vlog, which I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. We're dedicating this to the amazing memory of Christopher Reeves and all his amazing work. And
thank you, sir, for all your wonderful work and all you've done. And your infinite wisdom and all your amazing movies.
Absolutely, yes. Outer Haven salutes you, Christopher Reeves, and just...
You're truly missed.
Everything that you did and making all these movies possible.
Yep.
And we do really want to hear from you guys. We are just starting out with this vlog. This is our 4th volume. And Outer Haven, we have recently just really started putting ourselves out there. And to really make everything work, we need people like you. We love every single one of you guys out there. And we want to know what you want to see, what you want covered. Things that you just haven't been happy with how other people are been covering it, or things that, are close to your heart. Like, what's a series that you want to see? What's something that you want to hear talked about by me and Eliza here? Maybe you want to be on the show even. We're going to have some guest stars coming up for our Star Wars vlog. I'm going to have Nick Zupko going to be on the show with us. And, maybe you want to be on the show too. Let us know. Put it in the comments. And we do want to thank you for listening to us. Outer Haven would not be here if it wasn't for each and every one of you. But
very true.
Check out our website when you have a chance, ourouterhaven.com, or on Facebook at facebook.com/ourouterhaven. We'd love to hear from you guys. And if you're in the Northeast Ohio area, we specialize specifically to nerd kind. We will do work for anybody, but we're nerds at heart. So if you want to have the Star Wars Imperial March play at your wedding or your next party, you want to have a TARDIS, dance mix, we're not going to think twice. We'll actually, throw in some Dalek music to go with it. But, for today, this is Big Kahuna
and Eliza Austin.
And we're going to see you guys out there in Outer Haven.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Good stuff, huh?